The scumbags are in control. World of confusion, a world of distress. Symbolize scatter into the sky. False ones will fly, this is an onset.
On the eve of the release of the latest album, No Time to Waste, Heavy caught up with Aftermath vocalist Tsiolis for a chat about the new album, about music, and about life in general. Strap yourself in, guys. This one's a perler. Morning. How you going, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. I just like what time? You're in Australia, right?
I am, yeah. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's morning for you. It's morning for me as well because I work at night. I work at the airport for UPS, loading airplanes. And, today, I told my brother, hey, because it's hard to wake up with I set an iPhone alarm, and they never wake me. And I just been up like an hour now, and I rushed over here. I'm into the suburbs where we rehearse, and I live in the city, and I got traffic rush hour right now because it's like 5 o'clock, 6. I got here like in 15 minutes, man, record time.
Oh, well done, mate. I'm glad you made the effort for me.
Yeah, no, it was cool because you're from Australia. It's great that we're speaking all the way across the world. You're on we're on the globe, so you guys are on the side. I'm still waiting to see some photos of it.
No worries. Did you get to have a read of the review I did for you for the album?
Yeah, I just read it actually last night right before I went to work, and it was a long one, and I love the way you did it because you broke down every song. Because there's a lot of reviews. Because for years I just read Rolling Stone, basically any review I was really interested in. All the magazines, no matter what kind of music. And most reviews I noticed they only keyed in on a couple songs, maybe a handful, and didn't review the rest. And I hate when album reviews do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I put the album on like the first time I'm listening to it, and I write the review as I'm listening to the album. That way, you sort of, you get your first real reaction then, and you get to go through everything.
That's on the first listen.
Yeah, that's the first. So I just listen to it the first time, and just whatever I'm feeling, I write as I go, and that's it. I don't change it after that. So I think your first.
That's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. Because I see with me, like at one point, these were all demos, all these 10 songs, right? Like from rehearsal, from this room. And we, during the pandemic, there was 6 months we couldn't rehearse, right?
Yep.
And I was really upset because I wanted to do it, but, Steve, Sacco, his girl, his wife was worried. So we actually took off for 6 months. And plus, nothing was going on in the world anyways, But I just wanted to keep going. So I was frustrated. So I didn't even listen to the demo version of it for 6 months. And I knew I loved it going in on the beginning of the 6 month period. But then I got so frustrated that the world closed down and we weren't the most fun I could have, at least, is get my energy and frustration out on this rehearsals. And I was not able to do that. So I go, man, I'm going to take a ride right now with my car. I'm going to play the 10 songs, the demos, from rehearsal. It was just a rehearsal of the 10 songs, like sequence the way it's on the album. I sequence it, and then I go, if I don't feel strongly about it, I'm breaking up the band. I'm not putting this out, because, and then as I go on the ride, I caught myself again playing air guitar while I'm driving, singing along every song, like it's not my band. Like it's like me as a little kid listening to Van Halen, Woman, Children First, or something, or Number of the Beast. And that it confirmed right there. Yeah, I'm going to carry it on. You know what I mean? Because there would be no reason to put it out. If I didn't feel that strongly, why give it to the world? You know what I mean? So I just love this album. You know what I mean? And you on the first listen, catching so much of what I think somebody should catch, especially Straw Man. Man, just wait. You're going to have fun listening. You're going to be playing air guitar to it too.
Yeah, wicked, man. Yeah, but it did. Absolutely blew me away. I haven't heard anything like that for a long time, bro. So you did a really good job on it. Like I say, I'm one of those people. I don't speak shit. If I think something sucks, I'll say it sucks, But that was just
what a way to start out. You're the first person. You're the first person that reviewed it, and I couldn't. Man, honestly, talking to you after that review, and now that I found out it's a first listen, again, it's playing along with my 6 month break from it. It starts out exactly the way I want to start out. I'd hate to be doing the first podcast. A guy that reviewed it, you could tell they kind of listened to it but didn't, and picked 3. I mean, you kicked it off perfectly, man.
Oh, beautiful, mate. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you for making an album that was so fucking fun to review too, brother.
Yeah, well, man. Again, I don't want to brag and sound like a guy that said I'm glad man. At that point, you know what I mean. At certain points, I didn't even care if it came out. I just got an album that I enjoy. That I would see. It's 10 songs. They all are catchy, right? But there's not the catchiness of trying to sell it to an audience. It's really, they came out catchy, but they're angry. They're frustrated with the world, and it came from two previous albums, especially the album in 2019, the comeback album, the concept album, There Is Something Wrong. I was so angry that the world does not see that it's a sleight of hand from the people that control the world. That and even a song that I wrote in 1987 called Chaos, I was worried that the world is going to become so stupid that the worst thing that could happen is truth disappears where facts don't matter. Like if you argue with somebody and the fact has no importance to them, it doesn't matter. You can't win the argument by the fact is a fact. It's over. Humanity's done. Then it's the documentary that they call a documentary now. The movie that came out, Idiocracy. It was a comedy. How stupid the world would be. Then that's reality now, for real. That's why I call it clown world. You know.
Very cool. Well, I suppose we better let everyone else in on the party too, mate. So let them know we're here speaking with Aftermath about your new album, No Time to Waste, which is coming out on March the 17th, mate. So now everyone else has caught up with us. We can go back on our merry way.
Yeah. March 17th. I don't know here. It's St. Patrick's Day. So it's a wild day to come out because Chicago, they're painting the river green.
Oh, wow.
And all the bars have the green stuff up already, and it's going to come out on a day when the city's drunk, you know.
Good time.
So the only problem now is it'd be great for everybody to go come out to Chicago. So, but now that Chicago's kind of Chirac, and combining drunks running around with a million crazy people shooting everybody, you know, it'll be an interesting St. Patrick's Day, you know. And if it's warm, you know, because, you know, here in Chicago, every weekend, when it's a warm weekend, the gun shootings go up crazy, 100%, right?
Wow.
And it could be 100 shooting, literally, every weekend, unless it's freezing out. So every weekend, it'll be like, for instance, 100 shootings, 4 dead. So at least the shooters have bad aim, you know what I mean?
It's probably because they're hot.
Yeah, they never took target lessons.
So on to the album, bro, No Time to Waste. Like, we've sort of touched on it in a good way here, but tell us a bit more about it from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it.
After the concept album, like I said, it was like when I said it was a dark album because the concept album made it feel like it's not a regular album, like Pink Floyd, The Wall. You felt like you were inside the wall, struggling, you know, with mental issues and the World War II, losing a father or whatever. Waters lost his dad. But this album, it came out. It's almost like the sun's coming out. You know what I mean, from that dark world because after researching how you could make come on, man, we want to live in a world where war should be obsolete. You know, there should be no things made that could destroy a planet. So who makes those things? Like, it's not the regular citizen that are getting community service and go, you know what we should do? Let's put together something called a bomb and blow up cities. It's the people that control the world that make the equipment that destroy the world. Exactly. And when you find out World War I and World War II were funded, like, people think America's the good guy. They're as evil as in the soap opera that portrayed the Nazis. They fund both sides. These parasites that control the world, the 1%. They've identified themselves. They are at the top of the pyramid. You know what I mean? They're the eye. So the only way to beat that eye is do good and be good. Unite. All of us, the 99%, the whole entire world. We should never have black, white, any nationality. We are all together. Anybody. The enemy is the 1%. Everybody else, there should be no crime. You should just help your citizen, love your neighbor, and protect the families. Because the way that breaking up a family breaks up everything, you know, and you got to do good and be good. So if everybody knew what I'm saying right now, overnight, the world would be night and day difference. There'd be no threat of wars. There'd be no threat of you wouldn't need to rob people because the money that they could bail out anything. They could fund any kind of like homelessness, any kind of human problems. Plus, they print the money anyways. They could get rid of all that if they want. The reason they want the world in peril and despair, running from fear, a lot of fear that doesn't exist. But honestly, now to get into conspiracies, if you're a human being, you'd be insane not to follow the conspiracy world, because that makes sense. If you take any narrative that they give you, like 9/11, these guys flew planes that they don't know how to land, but they could fly them better than any pilot in history. Miracle. These 3 buildings fell down like they can never fall ever in history. Miracle, all on the same day. A building, one of the planes disappeared in thin air. So what I'm saying is, the light of this album is, you don't have any time to waste. Just know you don't need riots, you don't need violence. All you need is to know that you've been played. Identifying the enemy, you know what I mean? Then they can't get away with it. And it'll come out like, we can do this together. We could have a great world, peace and harmony, and enjoy our lifespan, you know? And I feel like the better you are here, I don't know about religion. I'm anti that, you know, organized and all that stuff. I just believe there's a creator that created us, and he put us here to do good. And then maybe when we die, who knows where you go? Nobody knows. There's no real answers. I just assume maybe you go to the next level. Like, you know, in baseball, you got the minor leagues, and then, you know, they put the good ones in the major leagues. I think that's maybe what happens to our souls. So the message is, there's a positive outcome to what clown world is dealing with right now. And it's through the knowledge that you've been played, and you don't consent to it. You don't have to even go on the streets and protest. Just know that in your head. If everybody knew that, man, we'd be good.
Yeah, damn straight, my friend. And you've released the singles Transform and Disrupt and the title track No Time to Waste. So if that's all that someone's heard of the album, would you say that they're a good sonic representation?
Yeah, it's rough. I even fought this with with our manager and thinking what to put out, because out of the 10 songs on this album, and it's 10 songs and like about a half hour long or whatever, the classic, albums of whether it's AC/DC's Back in Black, the Australians magical album, man, Highway to Hell, as actually, because Bon Scott rules, and or a Van Halen album, the classic 10 songs, or the same, all the 70s albums. It's a great amount of time to listen to an album, about a half hour, 34 minutes. And it was rough. Like No Time to Waste is the title track. So that was a good first song you put out. Transform and Disrupt. It could have been any of the other time. Well, the 10th song is a cover of Give Peace a Chance. So let's exclude that. But any of the other 9 ones, besides Straw Man, because that's more of a how do you even describe that? Straw Man, and it's any one of them would have. I think any of the other ones would have represented as a third single, but I mean, as a second one. But the third one that's coming out is We Can Do This Together. And that's the previous 2 are lyric videos, but the third one is actually a real, like a performance video,
Okay. Very cool.
With lyrics in the back of the screen. Yeah, that's coming out, when's that?
17th.
The 17th, the same day as
Same
the
day
album.
the album comes out. Cool. Cool. And we've touched on this before, bro, but you cover a lot of territory musically on the album. You got thrash, there's hard rock, there's rap. They all feature prominently. So how hard is it, or was it for you to get the balance right between all those genres?
It's as hard as like me sitting here drinking my Dr. Pepper. I mean, it was simple. I mean, there wasn't an advertisement. I just love Dr. Pepper. But even though, all the sugar kids, if there's kids watching out there, don't drink any soft drinks. The sugar will bring harm. But anyways, it almost like it's almost like, when people say, I felt like one time I was listening to Paul McCartney, John Lennon interview about songwriting, and they just flowed out of us. They made it seem like it was simple, right? Like, and some people go, something brings it to me, I mean, you hear a lot of that. It just came to my head, like there's a infinite radio station, now I kind of understand those words that they were when great songs were written by previous great artists. I can never understand how they wrote them, I mean, when they asked how to describe how they came out. And now I kind of understand what they meant, because they just, like, we'd come to rehearsal. I was having already a lot of like what I can write about, what the world is in, the state is in, and what I want to portray to the world lyrically, I can write. There's so much information in my head that, and a lot of the way I write, even when I write comments on Facebook, regular posts, I kind of write them like rhymes. They just come out kind of like everything kind of rhymes. Like it doesn't sound like a professional adult man wrote them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when Steve like would play like the riff on "We Can Do This Together," right away, I already have like that chorus was written right away. You know what I mean? They just come out like instantaneously, and there was never like an effort of like let's write a song. It was never that, and all these 9 songs just came out, man, almost magically. You know what I mean? It's just it sounds silly to say, but they just came out where you didn't even realize, you didn't put the hard work into it because it felt like they needed to come out.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I told you when you reviewing it first, I take that's destiny and the way it's meant to be. You know, those songs came out because of destiny, you know, in my life. That's what I was meant to do. As you being, like I said before, that's not just me saying it. This just plays along in the route, because I didn't even expect this band to be back together. We broke up in 1996, reunited in 2015 because we got an offer to do a festival in Germany called Headbangers Open Air, but there was no band at the time. But my brother, who's our manager, is the one that got the email, and I go, yeah, just write back, tell him there's no band, you know. And he goes, well, that's a year from now, you know, the festival. Let's just see what happens. I go, no, well, there's never going to be a band. I was 100% certain at that time that, you know, 20 years broken up. I didn't think we'd ever get back together. Neither did I want to, you know what I mean? But because him saying it, the destiny began, because within that year, me and Steve formed the band. We hadn't spoken in 15 years. There was no fight. He just went and lived his life, you know, moved out to the suburbs, got a job, you know, took himself out of music. I continued and played in some other band. I formed a band called Stripping the Pistol in the time Aftermath was broken up. And that day when we said, okay, with my brother, with the festival, the destiny began, and everything, like, where are we going to rehearse right away? Where we're at now. In the moment, we could have been looking forever. The bass player we could have been looking forever for a fit as a bass player, because me, Steve, and Ray, the 3 of us started Aftermath in 1985. The bass player came and he fits so perfectly that let's just leave it at everything's going exactly like I feel it organic, not any kind of effort. So that's the way it needs to be to run. It needs to feel natural.
Yeah.
Did that answer it, or I just?
Yeah, that was it, mate. We got there. And I want to talk more.
Hey, can I ask you one?
Yeah, sorry. Go.
Yeah, I want to ask you one question. What's your favorite band, or what? Like, because I think musically, you're you know music. So what would you say? Can you pick one?
It's hard to pick one. Slipknot's a definite favorite of mine. I love Slipknot, but I like a lot of the classic rock and sort of bluesy type stuff too. Like I sort of got a very wide range when it comes to that. Yeah. Like bands like the Winery Dogs and Richie Kotzen and that sort of bluesy rock type stuff.
Yeah, because you noticed on the album, the reason I noticed it, when you notice there's it's not just a thrash, we just listen to thrash. You notice that, and you got to know other music, because some people just listen to one genre. I don't know about the kids nowadays. They seem like they're more open to listen to anything. But the world we came from, and all my friends in our generation, like if it was a metalhead, they just listen to metal, man. Yeah. And they wouldn't be listening to a Patsy Cline song and then put on Rain and Blood. You know what I mean? If they listen to Rain and Blood, they listen to other stuff that were like Rain and Blood, you know? So I think music is amazing. Music is like, it's like the greatest drug in the world. You know, like if you put on music, it sets the mood of the room. Imagine movies without the music in it, because there's videos out there where they remove the music and they'll play a scene that's a well-known scene in an action movie or a horror movie. If you take out the music, man, the whole feeling's gone. It's not intense. Yeah. And the funny thing is, the people, the bands, the musicians that always made the music were always the victims. They always got ripped off left and right. I mean, because never has there been a record contract that's ever, to pretty much to this day, that hasn't been, on the side of the band getting ripped off, until you make so much money for a label, then, you pay them all back and then some,
It's almost criminal, you know. Like, that's one thing that hasn't changed with the music industry over the whole years. You know, like everything else has come and gone, but bands are still fucking ripped off. It's
Yeah, exactly. Because look at Spotify, the argument that the bands were getting ripped, you know, how much you get for download. And even to this day, everything's changed. The formats, CDs, 8-tracks, cassettes. I mean, just everything's changed, just like you said. But the one constant is the artist will get ripped off.
100%, brother. Yeah, I try and work with as many bands as I can in the industry, and you know, try and give them that honest side of things and a bit of advice and stuff. And it's hard because so many people out there just they're in it for themselves. You know, they don't give a shit about the people who make the music.
Yeah, no, because it always like, you know, even from the beginning, like even touring, it was in the early days, it was the music industry, Columbia Records, all that stuff was run by mob ties. You know what I mean? So it was already seedy characters were in the businessmen. They weren't like professional businessmen. There were people, they were mobsters. They became label heads. But luckily, at one point, a lot of music-loving A&R people came out. And during the period of the 60s and especially the 70s, like people that were signing people, you knew if a band got signed back then, they had a mad amount of talent. Whether you like classic rock or whatever, I don't care if it's Kansas, Boston, then again, the Queens that are just brilliant. You know, if a band was out there, you couldn't be that band because you had to have crazy talent, you know? So at least that made that era of wild ripping off, the great music did come out, you know, because you never know, you know, it could have been pop drivel forever, you know, songs that are just written just to sell commercial space on radio stations, you know, because when we say pop formatted music, you know, they map them out so much where the vocals got to come in at this amount of time. It's got to be this amount of minutes. It's got to have this kind of amount of hooks in it before a verse. If you write songs like that, what are you doing, man? Yeah. That's insane. I would operate like that. I don't give a to see. That's what I mean. Our songs and stuff when it came out. If I had, I wouldn't even. I hate the idea of anything like that. That I wouldn't even want to be anything. I would never want to be a big pop star. Well, first of all, I would never, money doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do, if I don't want to do something, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't sell out for $1 billion, but you need to know me to believe that. Because the reason I don't like saying shit like that is because if I was watching, I go, yeah, okay, dude, shut the fuck up, man. I'll give you $1 billion. You'll be crawling in the street like a pig, you know, for money. But that's why I don't want to say it unless you know me and you know I mean it, you know?
In here, brother. It's in the eyes, mate. You can tell a lot about a person from their eyes, and I can tell you if that is.
Yeah, and exactly. And then the problem nowadays is there's no people gathering around. Like I remember I used to love going to Europe, you know, especially down in the southern part where like Italy or Greece, where even a little village had a town square. So when you go there as a kid from America, where there's nothing like that, you know, we live in a neighborhood in the inner city of Chicago. You know, it's gangs, you know, there are a lot of gangs there and, you know, not a great neighborhood. And you go to Greece to visit on a summer, it changes your thought of the world. So we were lucky we went early on as kids, you know, because I was born there, but moved here when I was 9 months old. So luckily my parents took us back early on as kids. And the conversations with adults, like when would we talk to a 70-year-old guy in the town square when your kid's from Chicago and how old, 13 years old, 12 years old. It would never happen. We would never have the perspective of knowledge of somebody that lived through stuff. And you need that to form a good adulthood, you know, and, you know, judge things and have common sense. And and my point was, like with the internet age, this generation, they're not meeting places. They're all doing it through online, you know. And it's funny when bands do that. I was talking to one musician, recently, I'm not going to say who the band's kind of know. Not known, but underground wise. And they said the band never rehearses because we only rehearse once a week if we could do it. You know what I mean? It's not like the old days Aftermath in '85 where we rehearsed like 5 days a week, you know? So the guy goes, hey, we never, because guys live scattered, this guy's band, right? One guy lives up in Wisconsin, you know, the scattered area, and they never rehearse. So when they write songs, they just sit here like we're sitting and they send files and they're never in a room. I go, you guys are never in a room jamming? I go, why do you want to do it then? For what? Or you want to so great, you got to put them out to the world? Like the big part of the enjoyment of being in a band is creating stuff in a room where a mistake happens and that gives you another idea and you experiment and you just have beer, whatever. I don't want to be drinking beers and, you know, just being with guys that you're making something sound out of thin air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go, the way they're doing it now, like if I was a kid now, the way I think, I wouldn't even want to be in a band if I didn't know there was rehearsals involved.
I don't know. That's half the fun of it. Most
Yeah.
of the fun of
And
it.
then you go to the studio, it's all on a grid. So everything's like the grid and the drums all sound the same. Like our album, believe it or not, is as pure as a band can be. There's no time to waste. Well, all of them are, but no time to waste at this day and age when we did it now, when all these people are doing it this way and it all sounds generic, is as a band doing it in 85 or 75. It's as real as it comes, you know? There's nothing fake about it.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit more too about the song Straw Man in the House of Cards, mate, because it's probably my favorite song on the whole album. Like we said before,
That's my favorite.
Real bluesy.
There you go, man. I can't believe you said that.
Well,
because nobody, you know, everybody like around here, friends, you know, our close group, everybody picks every other song, everybody, right. Except, well, my manager likes it too, my brother, you know, but he never said it was his favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
You did?
Yeah.
Because everybody picks everything. Straw Man, I can't believe you said that. Yeah, because that's my favorite. And the title alone is, if you know and you've really researched, like, you know, the world, if you got time, you know, to do that, because I did it for 10 years deeply. It says it all. What we're at. We're straw man in we're straw men in the House of Cards, and it deals with the legal aspect of the United States being a corporation, because they really are. If you look up what it is, it became a corporation. I forgot what year. And when you're born, the birth certificate, it's almost like you make a deal, like a legal deal, and you become like the birth and it's the alpha and the omega is when, like, the meantime in between, you made a legal deal that you're part of, like a stock in a corporation. A corporation is like it defines a dead corpse, you know, and it's all wordplay, and it's all basically just like the whole legal system is, because our manager is a lawyer. You know, it's all like sleight of hand and conning. I remember, like, we got contracts back in when we released our demo in '85, Killing the Future. It was basically, I heard the first Metallica album. I'm going off on a tangent, but I heard the first Metallica album, Kill 'Em All. And then I heard Slayer and Anthrax. Anthrax, I thought the vocals sounded too traditional metal to be anything fresh when thrash metal first began. Slayer, I go, yeah, it's pretty cool, but they wear makeup and it's kind of silly. And it sounds like a band that's not as good as Judas Priest and the classic metal bands, but they're trying, you know. It sounded like a local band made of vinyl, but there were snippets of something brewing there, you know, because who thought Rain and Blood would be the greatest thrash metal album of all time down the line? But it wasn't there. You couldn't, in the beginning, it wasn't anything like, and then I heard Metallica's Kill 'Em All. I go, man, the Hit the Lights, Metal Militia, and the fast songs. There were like 3-4 really fast songs on there, you know, where it didn't exist before that album, you know, like that. Maybe it started with Accept's Fast as a Shark. The word on this, that was the fastest song around at that time, but we couldn't get it in Chicago. It was an import. So the word on the street, you know, the real people that were looking for metal to keep pushing the heavy boundaries and the speed. And then it got Motorhead, big influence, the vocals. But then I was sitting there at that time, I go, man, it'd be great if every song was fast. Like what became Rain and Blood, you know, later. That's what Killing the Future was. It was a demo from the first song, When Will You Die, to the fifth song, War for Freedom. It starts and never stops, man. It goes a million miles an hour. And I remember Kerrang magazine, Don K in Kerrang, right? There was a big picture in the review section. They had a big photo. So underneath the caption goes, too damn fast. And I remember Don K, which was a big underground writer. He goes, man, we understand you mentioned, you know, the fast stuff at that, but these kids nowadays are taking it to the point of craziness. That, imagine reading back then under that and correct too. Man, we got mail from all over the world.
That's right.
As Metal Forces, which is another magazine that was important at the time, it was the opposite. They fucking love that demo, and they were putting out a compilation at the time of the 5 greatest unsigned bands in the world, and we got picked. Anna Crucis got picked from St. Louis. I don't know if you heard Hobbs Angel of Death from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Was and Chris Barnes' first band, I forgot what, Leviathan, and he ended up being, you know, the singer in 6 Feet Under, and then Cannibal Corpse. He was on that, and it was on. They put out a vinyl, 2 songs from that demo, and that demo it just became really huge. Like for years, we'd still get mail orders with $5 for the demo. And you know, I was like a teenager then, and I would use that for cigarette money, or like, and it was hilarious. So right away, that demo established us in the underground, the fastest band around. Like I got calls from other people, man, can you sing the song on the phone? I remember this guy from St. Louis, and he's in a band. I forgot the name of the band. Terry Owens was his name. And he was a black singer in a thrash metal band in St. Louis. They called me up. They wanted me to do a cappella versions of those songs. They couldn't believe how fast it was. So while we were recording, but in my head, while that demo did all that, I heard it in the studio. I didn't like that anymore. I already go, man, all right, that's done. And literally, bro, I didn't listen to it for 20 years until my brother burned it on CD, and 20 years, like 10 years, in the 2000s, and it blew. This story gets crazy. That was the start of me even thinking of maybe ever playing with the band again. Because I ignored that. We didn't even barely play it live. I would love to do that now in the 2000s. That was the only fantasy I had of ever doing a band. I'd want to get together with me, Stephen Ray, and Adam, and play those songs just for the hell of it, not to put it out to the world. It's just a dream, you know. Because I for the 20 years that I ignored it, the point in my life where I didn't want to listen to it, where I wasn't listening to music, I was like, started listening to talk radio. I was just burnt out. This is like, what, 10 years ago? Right when you moved, got married?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, in 2000.
12.
One day, he goes, hey, Killing the Future, some torrent site. I go, what's that? Literally. He goes, well, you burn the CD. And I go, yeah. I go, man, yeah, fuck, burn it for me then. But I went and took a shower. I came out of the shower to leave for work. He had the CD on a blank CD on it. He goes, here, take it. I go, what is it? So I didn't know it came that fast, like 50 minutes. So I was going to work. So I take this CD, walking out the door, and man, I literally stopped listening to any music first time in my life for over a year. Literally, I'm not even joking. I'm driving to work. I throw it on the CD player. I didn't stop listening to it for over a year. That's the only, I was so blown away by it that I didn't, because I was so advanced at the time, I didn't want to hear it literally, because at that point, we recorded our second demo after this Killing the Future demo. And in my head, I wanted to become a thrash metal band that brought progressive, like Pink Floyd, into the world of thrash, make it artsy and, not just fast. So our second demo was called Words That Echo Fear. And that came out, and literally for years, people were like, man, it was nothing like Killing the Future, nothing. And this was only in a 2 or 3 year period, these two demos came out, 87 and 89. So this demo, Kerrang, the same guy that said Killing the Future is too damn fast, picked it as one of the next demo, Words That Echo Fear, picked it as one of the 10 best demos of 1989 in Kerrang magazine. Oh. And he goes, yeah, too damn fast. 2 years later, top 10, the review was, oh my God, this is like, it's almost like you're reviewing a Steely Dan or a jazz album or that kind of musicianship, so too damn fast. What happened? He goes, and within 2 years, it blew his mind, right? So that's where I was. I was always I love music so much that I was always trying to get us into another, since we were lucky to become part of a genre in the beginning of it. We were there right when it started. I mean, the Big Four only had one album, and they weren't fully thrash. So I felt like I was pioneering what I wanted to hear. You couldn't do that at another period in time. Like if I formed a band 5 years earlier, if I was older, I wouldn't try to pioneer something Black Sabbath pioneered. Yeah. So it was so fresh. It was so fresh. If you were only 2 years older at the time, the kids in the scene, they thought of thrash as something that'll go away. You guys are playing that crazy new stuff, the fast stuff. That's just listen to Priest, Maiden, Sabbath. I remember I would always hear. That's metal, man. What's this fast garbage noise and stuff? So I go on the second demo, I'll show you if it's garbage noise. There's musicianship here. I was just real lucky that Ray and Steve were in the band. That they were great from the beginning. Steve's he used to give guitar lessons at that age. He was in a wedding band when we were in high school. They're a three-piece. They had to know all the songs every week on the top 10 Billboard charts because they had a booking agent. They were booked 2 years ahead in weddings. They were called Weekend, not The Weekend, The Weekend.
Weekend.
And imagine being a guitar player, he would have to go to Rolling Stone Records and buy the top, if let's say a new single pops up that week, right? Because the top 10 changes, you have to know that song that week. That's how good he is.
Wow.
He was known in school. Hey man, that dude, I didn't know him in high school. I met him right after senior year. And his reputation, he could play some Yes song. I remember all the guys go, because it was about me, and we knew, man, that guy's a guy that could play Yes stuff, and like he's like beyond anybody that we know. And he's our age. But to me, even when I try to take guitar lessons, because he used to give half hour like Randy Rhoads did, a place called Tunes and Tabs. A lot of local Chicago people, even now, they would tell me at this point, like guys that play in bands that are known in the Midwest. Hey, Steve gave me guitar lessons, like I went for 2 weeks, but I thought maybe this guy would teach me like to play the songs. I go teach me how to play Run to the Hills or whatever, right? But he was like so good of a musician. He goes, you got to learn Mary Had a Little Lamb first. You got to buy the Mel Bay guitar book and learn the notes. And I go, but you're my age, man. Literally, I'm thinking in my head. And then I started blowing off his lessons. He would call my house on the third week. Hey, man, I'm here. Are you coming today? Because it was a half hour, $20 or whatever. And I was blowing him off like I was blowing off school, I wouldn't even call it because I was nervous to call. That's how I thought of him. But when he's in a band, and Ray, that guy, his drumming is just, if you came, he's just spectacular. I was lucky to have that, to make a vision of let's be Pink Floyd. I mean, Pink Floyd, like one of the songs on the Words That Echo Fear demo has a part that's really a killer riff there during the chorus. I got that from Dark Side of the Moon, when there's a musical piece where it sounds like you're running through an airport, on the Dark Side of the Moon album. So it was like taking from that world ideas to make it an album like a masterpiece, whether it's like the Dark Side or whatever, And so that's where we were at the time. And that's why even now, when I was going earlier, when I took the 6-month break in the ride, I need it to be great in my mind musically, because I just love music, man. I just love great music. And
did you address a straw man thing?
Oh yeah, straw man. Yeah, sorry,
That's right, man. I'm intrigued. I'm loving this trip down memory lane.
Well,
it's great.
See right there. My manager's sitting here, and this is Zoid HQ, we call it, where we rehearse. But right there, he's my brother, so he could get away with it. If I right now, if I was a real record label, a guy standing next to me and told me, "Can you address?" That would annoy me, because he would destroy my natural conversation, man.
The family,
wherever it takes me. And
families.
Yeah, no, it's family. You could say it. And, it's different, So I couldn't even have a real. Well, he's a real man. He's gotten. I mean, he doesn't just work with my band. He's gotten bands multi-million-dollar deal like Soil.
Yep.
He got him signed. He got Soil signed to J Records.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because
they're coming out here again next month, I think, too. They're coming out with Static X.
Yeah, they're doing sort on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed the bass player not long ago. Got on really well with him. He was a really nice guy.
Oh yeah, Tim King, right?
Yeah, Tim King. Yeah, I got him signed years ago. I don't manage anymore.
Well, wow. He doesn't manage now. He got him signed to
Clive Davis
J Records, Clive Davis, and at the same time when he was managing Soil, the A&R guy at that label signed another band at the same time that they thought that band wouldn't really, they'd have to build their success and it would be rough, and Soil would blow up in America, like Clive Davis said they'd be a hit on all the trailer parks of America. He thought of a big gigantic band that's playing, like, what I mean by trailer parks, the Midwest, when they're big. Like, anyways, the other band was Maroon 5. So look what happened. Maroon 5 became, what's the singer's name from Maroon? Yeah, the singer. He crossed over where he's like almost like a Hollywood stupid celebrity. What, this year?
No, years ago. Played Super Bowl.
He told me they played Super Bowl. I have no idea. I don't watch that stuff.
No, I haven't even understand it.
Well, for me, again, I'm going to go on a little tangent. I don't watch men playing with balls, I call it. I don't talk like we won, because the owners that own the teams, I can understand, man, if they kept the prices cheap for families to go to I have a family. I want to take my 2 sons to watch whatever sporting event. Man, when I found out, because I boycotted all that shit in my mind. I don't have kids. When I found out what they pay to go see sporting events, families, I go, oh my God, they're right. First of all, it's insane to me that they would charge so much, and then the people support the team so much, wear their colors, and go, "We won." I go, "You won nothing, but you can't even enjoy the game." Yeah, so I think, man, I think if you're going on and playing sports is great. You know, I mean, playing any kind of sport you like out with friends. I know it's kind of hard to gather up people. Let's go have a football game, you know. But watching them is part of the bread and circuses thing, where that's how the dumbing down of people happens, you know what I mean? And I noticed that as a kid. See, this stuff bothered me from early on. I remember sometime I was driving with some people and they were listening to sports radio and they were all into this conversation. I was stoned, smoking some weed, and I was spacing out, you know, just like thinking on the drive. I think we were a group of us going to some job. I had some, whatever it was. I can't remember that. But I remember after I keyed in and found out what they were talking about, a play that happened last week on sports radio and in the car, all of them together, like it was like an issue that they had. I mean, they were arguing about a stupid fucking play that happened a week ago on a sporting event, which had no significance at all. And then I realized, man, I remember through school, so we had a great teacher at one point. He told us about bread and circus, how the Roman Empire, the Colosseum, they would show them sports and eat, and the public knew what they were so dumbed down. It was like, yeah, right. They were like watching some people fight in the Colosseum, getting killed, eating big pieces of bone meat. I don't know what they ate, and little did they know what was really coming to them because they weren't paying attention. All they had to do was pay attention. I'd be, so right there when I was a kid, I go, man, and a kid, I'm saying a kid, like, you know, young, preteen, you know, that early. That's why I can't remember who we were in the car. Well, it was right when I started smoking pot, so it was probably in the 80s, like right when I was in high school. And I remember thinking, that's what they mean, man. These guys, just not that I put it together that minute, it connected dots. And they stayed in my head. And I realized when somebody says how they dumb down this society, and I always bring that in my mind, these guys, they wouldn't know if there was a building exploding there. They just wanted to solve some guy dropping a fucking baseball a week ago. So, and Strawman kind of fits in with that. Because it goes,
back to Strawman.
Yeah, I'm making a perfect. Yeah. So Strawman, and I will even prove my point. Sleight of hand. It says sleight of hand. You know, it's all sleight of hand. And oh, you said gospel part in that song too, right?
Yeah.
There, see, right there when I was reading that. Listen, because at one point on that part it goes, straw man gonna blow the house down. You know, I don't want to do any policy. And there were two parts there I had for that. So that you hear in that chorus that you call gospel, we're all doing the backup vocals. Straw man gonna blow the house down. Right. So that's that's a part that remember I even asked my brother, I had another part underneath. He's a person, not a man, because the part of
the mix was amazing.
Yeah. So in my head, I was saying, and the way I had it in my head, he's a person, for the same music, you know, where I'm writing words on top of that the part there that we're talking about, right? So then I had that all set in my head. One day I'm driving, listening to those rehearsals, and I said, I go, straw gonna blow the house down. You know that, like so I go, that'd be cool there too. So I listen to both. I go, man, I love them both. Because I usually don't have that problem. I know when I write a verse, or of course that's it, right? This one I go, man, I want both of them. I don't want to do it again. We could have done it again and made it long and do them both with just those vocals. But I go, it'd be good to mix them. And then one day out of nowhere, while driving with a rehearsal music on my iPhone, while that's playing, I can record over it, right? I did the blow the house down, right? And the way it came out, they were mixed perfect on my 5 phone, you know.
You started breaking up a bit there, bro.
Chuck, they did an amazing job, man. The way he mixed it. For him to get, I was worried. So he mixed it so well, they're both there, but it's what you're listening for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
why don't you tell Kris that was a song that they didn't want to put on the record, remember?
Not only that song was so important to me. I just wanted, again, it goes to my love music. I wanted to be progressive because it's progressive. You didn't expect that song on this album.
No,
you know what I mean?
At all. It completely left the field, but it was great.
Yeah, and everybody goes, it was all in my head because there's no verse, chorus. There's no, it just flows through an experience of 6 minutes, 4, however long it is, right? And I wanted a real long, but again, I did compromise with my brother and the band, that I'm going to try to, even to the last minute, because this was the hardest song for me to get it out of my head. None of the guys in the band knew what I was going for. I had it all in my head, right? And even in the demo version of it, they had parts naked, just the music. It's nothing like you hear it how it's finished. But it was in my head like that through recordings of, like, while it's playing me driving, a lot of it driving, putting in blah, 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 whatever, right? And see, man, this is so, I almost, like, the girl vocals in there was done in my bedroom with this girl for choruses I had that Straw Man didn't even exist yet. Steve was just, hey, I had this. She sent me stuff. I had this idea. I go, man, I hear, like, last year I did that with, I won't mention the girl's more, Crystal's her name, you know, but me and her just did, if it could fit perfectly, her vocal stuff. That's in my bedroom, just me and her doing it. And even on the beginning of the song, you can hear it's a recording, because I even whisper, I go, do it again. This, you know, I tell her that.
Yeah.
Because the one that's on the version, the vocals of hers in the studio were taken from this phone. You know?
Oh, wow.
And yeah, well, believe it or not, on the concept album we did, I did so much on that album, the interludes, the you know, a concept album needs like a movie thing, you know, where you hear stuff in the background, news reports. I did all on my phone, and I had no idea that Chuck would be able to get it. I thought I would have to recreate everything as it is on my phone, you know, and I thought that was impossible. So I went into that, recording that album after being gone for 20 years. And I was, in the beginning, I didn't even, I go, why did I even, again, I was going in my head, why did I even do this? It's not, I'm never going to be able to recreate this stuff. You know, how's he going to do? I didn't know he could take my phone recordings and just run it on the board. And yeah, off a messenger, and I don't even use stuff like musical stuff. I just use Messenger. I don't know anything about this stuff. So I see some movie maker. I don't read the rules. I just do it, anything I come up with. So if I knew that from the beginning, I would have been like, man, and once I found that out, you know, like everything I do here, so that's why I did stuff like that straw man part with her, you know. And Steve, coincidentally, the beginning of the song, the guitar part, that's all him in his bedroom, recording something for me. Hey, look what I came up with, you know, because we know each other so well. We wrote everything in Aftermath together, you know, that he knows what he just gives me parts, you know what I mean? So the part he gave at the beginning of the whole song, there's a speech going on underneath from 1969. What's the guy's name? You can look it up on YouTube.
Oh, God.
This guy made vinyl album in 69. He came from Hollywood and he found out truth. He really, and everything he said, if you listen to this on YouTube, so they keep taking it down, but if you listen to that 2 album, and he paid for it out of his own pocket and everything, see, you'd think he's Nostradamus, because it's been how many years since 1967 or whatever he wrote, right? What he says there, you know if it's happened or not. He didn't know it was going to happen then, or either he's a fortune teller. So right there, if any common sense mind would hear it, how do you know that? How do you know? So that speech was really important to really seek truth, right? Yep. But that speech plays a role on the concept album. It's on that track called, in the beginning, Can You Feel It? It's more, you can hear it more, you know? Well, man, see, everything's so interesting. While my niece, there was a baby that was going, can you feel it? On the beginning of the concept album, you know? That's the beginning called Can You Feel It? It's only like a minute and a half long, but it's got the speech in there and it's building the concept album. But that speech right there is on the beginning of Straw Man, but it's only going in and out. So even if you can't tell what the conspiracy is, even though he's giving important things in that part, you get snippets, because I lowered it, raised it, again, generically on my phone when I was just doing it on my phone. And it says Hollywood 1 minute, you know, I don't want to bring it, but with headphones, people look for that, what it says, you know. And the guitar part reminded me, because I got into Zeppelin this past year when I started listening on Spotify because it was easy to get. I got 5,000 CDs in my room, but no CD player. So now I feel like a hoarder. Before I looked at, man, I was so proud of it. Now I look and I go, man, this is like hoarding. But you don't want to throw them away. So anyway, so what I mean is I had the whole Zeppelin, I got Slayer, all the underground thrash metal bands, their whole catalog, but I can't get to them because they're piled on top of each other. So whether I knew Physical Graffiti or not, when's the last time I really heard it? Like 20, 30 years ago? So on Spotify, I just put it out with it. So I love the power of Zeppelin's, the 3-piece, like We Are Now. The music naturally those 3 guys make. And I'm not saying this, man, but I feel like it's my Zeppelin or my, they're that good, right? Well, I think, whatever, but I'm not putting them in godly status, but, those 4 guys. So Steve gave me a piece that reminded me of Jimmy Page's guitar dreamy parts,
Yeah.
So that's the beginning of Straw Man, with important information, of true information going through, and me and that girl from the bedroom, all without doing it in the studio, all done on phones before we even, you got what I'm saying, I'm not going to bore people with the detail. But anyways, that's the beginning of the song. So this song, as it progresses, it's so minimal. Look at the lyrics. If the CD, it has all the lyrics inside. It's so minimal that it explains, if you know where the knowledge of a true awakening of what's going on in this world. And I don't mean corny ways. If you just know what the secrets are, what conspiracy is real, what's not, just know as much as a human being could really know the truth, you'd see everything with minimal amount of simplicity. Says it all. He's a person, not a man. Oh my God. That explains. So the title Straw Man. Straw Man is a fake person, which is part of the corporation. A corporation is a fake entity, you know what I mean? Look up the definition of what corporations are. And we're straw man, and we're living in a house of cards because we're living in a system. If anything's built on lies, let's say I built a family and my foundation from the beginning is a total lie to the world, but my spouse doesn't know that. Come on, is that a real marriage?
Okay,
Whether you go through it 30 years, you were there under false pretenses. So we're under a system which involves the court system. That's why the black gowns of graduation, the black gowns of the courts, the 3 city states, whether it's Lower London, the royalty, the Vatican, or District of Columbia, if you follow the procedures of their ceremonies, whether they're giving awards, they're all the same. That's why they all go and acknowledge each other. Always presidents go meet the Pope and they acknowledge the Queen, and the decals, the symbolism. Symbolism is a major part of getting things done. If you see that, that's what straw man's all about. The house of cards. All of us don't know it. Well, not all. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Most percentage of people, whether they're lawyers, then again, the more they go through university, educated men, and stuff like that. When you hear somebody's gone through extreme, schooling, from grammar school to grad school to whatever, they're not there mentally. The common sense is gone because they've been taught the whole.
Transform and disrupt.
Yeah, that's what transform and disrupt is about. How the more educated you get through that schooling system, because it's a house of cards, the more you're filled with nonsense knowledge. Just like, again, going back to contracts, record contracts, they're like gigantic. And at one point, Interscope trimmed them down, the major label, made it more simple, but it wasn't simple. A contract that was like pages long could have been in one page because they made it complicated. The devil's in the details. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Complicated, so the common man thinks they don't understand it. When what I'm selling you is so understandable, I can tell you in one sentence what this gigantic contract is. It is, so they just want to confuse. That's what the that's what the house of cards. So straw man and the house of cards is what we are now, what we're at, and we could get it, and then we can do this together. Man, let me tell them at the end. The thing remind me, we could do this together means we could get out of this straw man. We don't person, not a man. We're not person. Person is a legal definition. That's another part of the deal. We could be human beings, men, in a real system, a natural system. Because the house of cards system, you're not eating the good food. You're eating a lot of Monsanto stuff that are poisonous to you. For instance, the sugars we eat. That was a battle to get sugar passed in law. It took like 6 attempts back in the whatever years it was in American court system to prove it not being a poison, really. You know what I mean? Because they wanted to put it in the food system, and people fought it back then because it's poison. You know what I mean? And whether there's stuff they say makes your teeth better, like chloride in water. Fluoride, even on toothpaste when it has it, it says big amounts of this will kill you. You know what I mean? So the straw system is not natural. It's anti-natural, which goes to the other song that explains up is down. The track up is down. It's reverse natural turned to unnatural. It's all like duality, everything, you know, like your boy Slipknot, they got a song Duality, but it's all about duality. Yeah, because duality, black, white, night, day. It's that simple. You know, basically life is great. It's simplicity. The more detail is only there basically to get away with sleight of hand shit, to confuse you and corrupt you. And another thing I want to really point out, fear kills, because when they say sticks and stones break bones, words produce fear in your mind. So again, you were played by being told that your whole life, because no, man, if it's in your mind and it stresses you out, you're done, man. You're going to die, because you're going to get sick. If you look at some person that's dumb, nothing gets him down, he's always laughing, you know, nothing, unless, you know, your mother dies that day, God forbid, or whatever, you know, yeah, you're going to be, you got to feel the emotions. And in America, it started to corrupt the world. Psychiatrists, all that shit, you know, like that's not needed, because it's in this system. You need that stuff. Like if we lived the natural system, cancer would be gone. We're not born to be disease-filled creatures. Why would we even be created like it? And another thing, the whole evolution, we came from monkeys, you know, and stuff like, it's all to dumb you down, you know what I mean, to make you feel like you're not important. We can do this together means we have more power. They hid the power. They suppress our enlightenment, like deja vu. And you think about somebody and they contact you, you know, and you hear that all the time. Oh, how did this? Well, they're not magic. They kept us from what we're supposed to be, which is slaveable. I mean, see it right now. If we kept talking together, I could tell you forever, and we could talk. I would explain to you how this album makes sense in every aspect of your life, my life, everybody's life. Slaveable. We're not your animals. We're going, man, to this system. We're shouting, we're not your animals, man. We consent. I mean, because you got to let it into your life. They kind of give you codes like predictive programming through Hollywood, where they tell you like this is coming, because kind of a karma thing, but. The suppression and knowledge, I just wish people knew how great life could really be, and how everything, the problems that they fear about, all the things they're told in the media and they hear all day, those are all sleight of hand. Those are they created because they sucker you into going into down that route. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's another form of control rather than
and how. Well, put it this way, and my brother's here next to me. I remember when I stopped watching regular TV, I started getting sick of how they used to make the man like the weak figure of the family. Every sitcom started marrying your children. Like, I'm going to get this little man cave. You know, I pay for all this, but my wife said I only got a little part of the corner, like a little rat. You know, if I see, it's fair. If the wife was paying for everything, yeah, you better get your little fucking hole, because you're not producing to help the wife. So yeah, she should have it. But if you're paying for everything and you live like that, you're fucking sleight of hand. They're telling you building the narrative that you're not, because they don't need strong family. They don't need strong fathers. And not like nowadays, you got people telling they dysmorph their face, cut their tongue, put bolts in their heads. Or I had this girl tell me, you know, man, it'd be cool in the future if we could have like AI hands. I go, you get rid of your hand and put an AI hand. She goes, yeah, in a second. I go, then you're a fucking moron. So you're going to get the best technology, and I'm going to replace it with pseudo cheap technology. They're trying to replicate God's technology. I go, that's how stupid you are. And I told her straight out, all tattooed, all covered up. I go, you were a beautiful woman, and you made yourself look like a satanic piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People
they hate honesty, don't they? People hate honesty.
Well, hey, right now, if you get me going, see, right now, a label, like, if it wasn't what we're at right now, you think you could go, right now, I'm starting to really wake up, because, like I said, I woke up an hour before this interview. Man, you know how much anger I have? Like anybody, see, they take it even, like woke, for instance, right? I was using the word awakening from the fucking parasites, right? The past 3 years, I know they came up with this woke. First of all, how disgusting does it sound, woke? And if anybody, when somebody they follow the woke philosophy or whatever, which is basically all the people that grew up like my age, where we were like, thought we were democratic, you know, or whatever, like regular, liberal, right? Like even during the 90s, we didn't think there'd be any prejudice. We were hanging out with any kind. It didn't matter to us if somebody brought a friend, if we met a friend, black, white. We wouldn't even think about it. Like when I was out at night, like first of all, in our metal scene in Chicago, anybody that was black, they came in our scene, we loved it. We treated them better. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everybody said that's great that he's here. You know what I mean? So we didn't, and we were like, we thought we were, you know, common sense. We were the common sense society, the latchkey kids. You know what I mean? We grew up. I believe Generation X, us, we were a great generation. We had parents that left in the morning, gave us a run of the house all day. We could leave it anytime. Nobody questioned where you were. We come back, no tracking. Most of us made it out safely, no matter what they tell the fear that you were in danger if you went out of your house. Some serial killer that they glorify also, and they create all the serial killers to become idolized. You know what I mean? And we did it all on our own. So I thought the future was going to be great. Even though knowing things didn't make sense, like pot being illegal, made no sense to me, you know? Why would they do that, right? Even though, put it this way, if you don't think they do, CIA changed the word, it's cannabis, right? It's marijuana, that my mom even says these days, you know, old Greek lady, she goes, you smoking marijuana? You know, how do you explain it? Well, marijuana is a CIA term that they literally had plans, and they put a J in the middle to make it sound more ethnic and Mexican and more dangerous. So the American public can think it's not the thing that does no harm to anybody, to make them criminalize it and put millions of people in their fucking jails for no reason, because the plant's growing. When a cop gave me a ticket and pulled me over there, and I see him in his uniform going, you can't smoke. I go, you fucking fat piece of shit. One time they pulled me over because I was smoking pot in my car. I go, I was offended that you come here and tell me, stop me from driving where I'm going, to tell me I'm not going to put smoke in my, I mean, that's me being knowing what I know now. But I always knew, but you know, all my outbursts against society back when I was a kid, like stuff like that, where I was offended. I go, I'm offended you're pulling me over to ask me what I'm doing. You're not my father. Yeah, maybe if you're, anyways, so they made marijuana purposely like that, right? Just one example. I could do that, bro, for everything. I could tell you every war, how it started, how you were played on both sides. 1, 2, there's going to be a third world war. They started building here with commercials in New York City, public service announcements. In case a nuclear bomb drops, go inside, wash your clothes, and wait for alerts on the internet. So if nuclear bomb's going to drop, there will be internet, but we could go inside, close our, literally a commercial in New York City.
What are you going to wash
preemptive.
What are you going to wash off from nuclear?
How about this? How about this? Nobody. I would come. I would love somebody to come to me from a woke person. I get, but then again, facts don't matter. So you'll be talking to a wall anyways. But my point is, like before this epidemic, right? There's a thing. Go on YouTube. It's called Event 201. Literally, it came out in November. The pandemic started in March 2020. This came out in November 2019, right? I seen it. It's hours long conferences with all, you know, they have all their meetings of the year. This is the world, the WHO and all that bullshit, the UN and all those fucking bullshit things. They watch what it is and tell me what you see. And I'll say briefly, everything that happened March 2020, they were talking about in November. 6 feet distancing, stuff nobody's ever heard before. Masks, inside, lockdowns. If you watch it in November, I seen it in November. When March 2020 happened, what do you think I thought? You think I was going 6 feet apart? Man, the night they even tried to do a lockdown in Chicago, literally, I wasn't even going out. I go, they what on the news? Because I don't watch that stuff. But they had it on. I briefly heard, I go, what? They go, like, I went out and I had nowhere to go and I drove around the streets just because they told me a lockdown. Because, or people were wearing masks everywhere. When I seen that, and then they were going into restaurants with the masks on, and then they sat down and ate and took them off.
How the fuck are you going to eat?
It's clown work. For me, I almost want to explode because I go, at that minute, I go, either I save these fucking idiots or I just don't want to be on this planet. And I would never suicide or anything like that. So I'm stuck here until, if I live till 90, how stupid is it going to get years from now? But I don't even want to get to that because it's never going to get to that point. Because, anyway.
Hey, Kris, this is the positive album.
Yeah. No, all right. Well, man, you know what? That I could talk to Kris again, man. Again, this is for real. I think you know me. If you knew me, I just care about the truth, right? And I care if it's natural. And somebody that I'm listening to, talking to, they listening, comprehending, and comes right back. And as time goes by, no time to waste. If I notice right away, you had no clue, and you were who you are. I don't even. I can't explain it. I could tell. I could sit for you right now, and if we sat in a pub and out in Australia or an island in Greece or Chicago, I know look forward to it and be a conversation because I know you're responsive and I'd want to hear what I told you. I want to see your response.
Yeah.
But if I feel right away you're nothing like it, trust me, I won't waste a second. Because
life's too short to waste on people that don't give a fuck. Life's too short to waste on people that don't. Sorry, bro.
Hey, sorry, you kind of say that.
I just said life's too short to waste on people that don't give a fuck, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say, man.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. There's no time to waste. It's too, because you're going to walk away frustrated. Because if you try to get through, they're not going to get it, you know? And on a side note, I have a good friend that I met in high school in 1980. And he was a great guitar player. And he loved Rush and I loved Van Halen. We used to argue for the whole 4 years of who's better, man. To the point, one time I wanted to prove them that Van Halen was better. That I came up with a scheme for him to go to a store and try to get money for a jumpsuit that his mom bought him for his birthday, but not pay for it and get the cash back, right? Just because we were buying scalper tickets and they were $27 for close-up tickets, you know. And I wanted him to get that money because I knew he could have went to the show and he would have known Van Halen's better than Rush. Is that insane? Well, unfortunately, last night and then the previous night, I met him, 1980. This past year, especially this past couple of months, I reconnected with him because he lives not too far from me. Yeah, I didn't know. For 20 years, I didn't see him at one point, right? And he lives behind me. I went and hung out with him the other night. And now he's delusional about it. I can't even explain. Yeah. But he's a guy that it involves a girl, you know, that left them. And he's and plus he's doing drugs. And I keep telling him, don't do those things. And I, at one point at his house, I was telling him stuff and he would repeat the same thing that I didn't even say it, right? So I go, what do I do here? This is a good friend. I feel like that's suicidal stuff, you know, he'll get crazy. Do I sit and help? Again, I go, where's there no time to waste, man? You know what I mean? And I even told him to his face, I go, dude, if I knew you for a month, a year, 2 years, I would fucking slap you right now and just leave your fucking butt. Only because I've known you so long and I know you got a good heart, or I will waste a little time because it's a real reason, you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're not going to save him if he was, and if it's somebody too new, why would you waste your time? Because you don't know the person, you know what I mean? You don't know if he's a good person, you know?
Sorry,
but anyways, yeah, at the end of the album, that's what I want to tell him. Like where it sounds like a radio station switching.
Yeah.
And all the song titles come through.
Yep.
Just like right now, I kind of got a natural thing where I was explaining to you, I was saying something, and then I go, this reflects on Up Is Down, or this song, right? Or Slavable, right? In the studio, while I think it was on my phone, yeah. When I was going, well, that day when it was recorded, whatever it was, in my iPhone or whatever, I did it on my phone. And then Chuck heard it, but I did it, I did it as it is, because that's really the sequencing. And the sequencing I had from a year before, when on the rehearsal demo. I did it, and it explained the whole why the album, what every song means in that sequence right there. Like, no, you have no time to waste. The world is turned up. The world is the original. No time to waste. The original instructions, which is how we're supposed to live naturally. We're not supposed to eat stuff that's made in a factory. We're supposed to eat real stuff. You know what I mean? Like healthy stuff, vegetable, real stuff. No time. Transform and destruct. You've been taught this through the school system, how to go the wrong way. Up is down, because the world's clown world now, inverted. Like where it goes, sticks and stones break bones, you're told, but words don't harm. You know, that's up is down. Anyways, I could do it right now. I could keep going, but right now, because I said I'm trying to do it to you, it came out naturally like that right away in the studio. And then Chuck goes, hey, you know what I'll do? And he didn't tell me for the longest time. And because he goes, I got an idea for that. Because I guess maybe he goes, man, it came up. He said, just like that, out of nowhere, right? If you told me to do that now or the next day, it'd never happen again. Yeah. It would, but I wouldn't do it, right? And I go, man, he's going to ruin it, man. Because I go, what can you do with that? There's nothing you can do. I didn't know. And he made it seem like he's switching channels and whatever he did. And when I heard, I go, yeah. Because again, playing naturally, I had to know Chuck, and I found out totally on this album that he's the only guy I want to record with if we do another album or whatever. I would never want to go to another. And the studio is in his house, down in his basement, you know what I mean? And before the reunited aftermath in 2015, making There Is Something Wrong, all our studio experiences, real, they were in studios, boards, like regular, where you went there just to record businesses. So when I told you earlier for There's Something Wrong, pulling up to record that album, that came out in 2019 and doing all that stuff on my phone. I was in the negative headspace in my own world because I go, this because I didn't follow the years of bands doing all the things artificially. I found out because I wasn't involved in that world. I didn't know they were not rehearsing and setting files. And I go, well, people recording their houses, the final product. I go, this is going to be a disaster. I knew I didn't want to do this, all along. But then again, right when it starts happening, I said, it becomes like, I couldn't even fantasize. If everything the way it happened, I knew before, I would want to reunite anytime because it happened the way I want. I thought that would be impossible because it is really impossible to come out like I would never want to rehearse anywhere but here. But this is my brother's. He got married, moved on. I would never in a million worlds. You know what I'm thinking? If the band reunites, and again, I never wanted the band to reunite, and it happened because the natural. When we got time, all right, we reunite. Now, what are we going to do about rehearsal? So I think let's rehearse in my basement. I would never bring it up in a million years. Yeah, why don't we rehearse in your new house in your basement? Isn't it cool?
Yeah,
but
right.
instead, and this is the best rehearsal studio ever. Look how it looks. It looks like. I mean, I wish you could see how it looks in here. And well, you could see. What am I talking
It's kind
about?
of dark.
All right. Hold on.
The camera is.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to show a little example. Look.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you got the camera? Yeah. Show them the drum part and everywhere. That's where the.
So that's where everything was tracked and stuff?
No.
This is where we rehearse.
Oh, your rehearse, nice.
What I'm saying, yeah, when my brother suggested this place, we call it, you know, and he's got all the great classic posters. Well, I'll show him the aftermath as well.
I saw the Van Halen poster in the background.
Yeah, check it out.
Oh,
Look, all the aftermath stuff.
very cool.
Yeah, see. Yeah. See what I mean? And again, if I was fantasizing, this would be a fantasy. Like, yeah, maybe if I reunite the band, rehearse a thing that's like our house, as opposed to some rehearsal studio, 20 million bands rehearse like this, what we're used to, and put it out. I mean, everything we've done a long way would be like a dream to do, which I would never dream of because I would think I'd go a lunatic, So that's why I feel in a weird way. Again, I did say we're suppressing them. I feel it's all right. I'm going to say it, man. I'm not I feel this album's so important in our albums that if you read the lyrics for it, and the music's so aggressive because I got these master musicians playing with me that if they weren't playing with me and it didn't come out natural, it would never. What's happening in my world, for it to happen, it have to be a miracle, and not a miracle because I wish I'm not sick. I want God to save me. A miracle because I want this to happen, but it's such a miracle to have this. I would think it's unrealistic. Yeah. So when it becomes realistic, just like songs that I truly love so simply, I realize, yeah, we're doing it, but I feel that hidden thing from us that would make us all better. All of us have this, you know what I mean? To be better, positive, and produce what we need, or given something that you think of as magic is real. So this whole thing reinforces everything I think how the world is run. It ties into everything. And believe it or not, now you're part of this thing. I mean, this will never be forgotten in my head. This time started talking to a guy like you, man. I don't even want to say thank you because you're here because it was meant to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, damn straight, mate.
I mean, because if it started out negatively, to me, yeah, the next negatively, it wouldn't be negative to other people. You not knowing it, I feel I would tell my dude. I talked to you. I wasted my. I'm not here to sell records to fucking kids that don't know. I mean, you waste my time with that moron. You know what I mean? That's how I would feel. Now I kind of don't want it to end, and I got to be at work at 8 o'clock.
Well, thanks very much for your time today, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I could sit here and do this for hours, but unfortunately life gets in the way, so we shall pick this up at another time. But congratulations on the album. She's an absolute pearler, and we will talk soon.